The gentlelady yields back, and I now recognize Mr. Ezell for his 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. CISA has an important mission in safeguarding cyber networks and protecting the physical infrastructure that our society depends on. The agency has enjoyed a broad bipartisan support since Congress established CISA in 2018 because it plays a key role in protecting the homeland. It is my goal that this continues with its original intent. Mr. Weingarten, what concerns do you have about CISA's ability to fulfill its core responsibilities?
Well, I would say there's a huge opportunity cost to devoting resources supposed to be intended towards foreign threat actors, towards domestic ones, and on the basis of interpreting speech to be a threat to a virtually limitlessly defined critical infrastructure up to including our brains. So the first thing would be it's a huge shift in resources, and to the extent it's trampling on our rights directly or by proxy, that directly undermines its mission.
Thank you. Documents obtained in a lawsuit show Brian Scully, a deputy of CISA's Countering Foreign Influence Task Force, communicating regularly with external organizations. At one point, Mr. Scully even offers up a CISA-run webpage as a resource to help with one partner's pre-bunking efforts. In other words, CISA was generating content and then pushing it to external parties to shape their censorship efforts. Can you walk us through some of the key players involved in discussions like these and how they work together to create a censorship operation? Mr. Weingarten.
So as you noted, Mr. Scully is one senior official who I believe is the chief of the MDM team now, and it's worth noting that that foreign task force became the MDM team, going from foreign to domestic and foreign actors under its purview. Beyond that, Matt Masterson, I believe, was a top election official within CISA. He ultimately would end up, I believe, becoming maybe a non-resident fellow at the Stanford Internet Observatory. There's sort of a revolving door here. Worth noting, Christopher Krebs as well, former director of CISA. He ended up starting a consultancy with the head of SIO, Alex Stamos. And we can go through several other individuals on the outside as well. So non-CISA officials, but officials, or rather principals, who were coordinated by CISA, worked with CISA, ended up on CISA's advisory committees and such. Those would include Kate Starbird at the University of Washington's CIP as well. Renee DiResta within SIO, I believe was a research director there. She had direct ties to CISA advisory committees as well. So there's a slew of people, and it's sort of a revolving door, and it starts to blur the line between public and private.
Thank you. Professor Turley, this censorship laundering enterprise basically gives government officials and their private sector partners the power to control public discourse. What is the danger of the government focusing on some of these subjective terms like misinformation and malinformation?
Well, the danger is significant. You have terms like malinformation. It starts out by saying the information may be true, but we're going to target that information because it's being used to manipulate others. Statements like that are really quite chilling for all of us that value free speech. And the question is, should the government be in that business? But it is in that business. I mean, in terms of the two legal issues that we look at, these are government agents who are acting. So we don't even have to get into the question of whether there's an agency relationship with private companies. There are government officials who are taking these acts and actively participating in what is the largest censorship system in the history of this country. And then second, you have private actors who are being used by what I call censorship by surrogate. Both of those raise constitutional questions. But putting all that aside, one of the things I emphasize in my testimony is people constantly have this mantra, it's not a First Amendment problem, so it's not a free speech problem. That's not true. The First Amendment is designed to deal with one problem of free speech. It was the traditional, the most looming problem at the time. It is not synonymous or exclusive with the term free speech. What the US government is doing now is a serious threat to free speech.
Thank you, Mr. Turley. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and the chair now recognizes